Good morning, everyone. Welcome inside the Faith Loop. It is Tuesday, February 11th, day 2,111,939. That's 939. Still sounds right. Of the crisis of identity. And we're going to roll right into this because we want to talk. If you're tuning in, we appreciate it. If you enjoy what we're doing, please share this out. If you have questions, please throw them in the comment box there. We do appreciate it. Our subject today is, why do men worship God? Now, if you were along with us last week, you saw, or if you've watched last week, we talked about the worship of El. Why do men worship strength? Well, and if you're part and parcel to the watching Inside the Faith Loop, you've heard us talk about these things. And this is a natural progression of things. The worship of El, the worship of strength. And why do men worship God? We talked about this word last week. What does the word God mean? And I think it's interesting for us to take it from the perspective of the English word that we use. Because we're reading everything we see in English. And we were discussing a little bit on Sunday, Dad and I, before the service. And we were talking about dialect, basically. And could a 15th century Englishman understand what we're talking and how we're talking today? Would he understand modern English dialect?
Here and there.
Just like if we were listening to them in that day, we would have a similar issue.
Yeah.
We don't think about it. We don't consider that. We say English. Well, they spoke English back in the day. Go and look up 11th century English and try and read it. 12th century. 13th century. Heck, we have enough trouble reading 17th century English. 17th century English is the King James Bible. Okay? Published in 1611. That's 17th century. That isn't that long ago.
Adam Clark does it all the time. He puts that, he's got a favorite Bible that he likes to share and try to read it. It's not spelled the same. There's a few words here and there, but if you try to read it, I can read it to a point, but there's words that I just flat can't read.
I've seen some of the Wycliffe,
Yep.
which was, I think, 1200s. Doesn't look like the same. So why do we use this English word to identify the being in which we worship? And I think that's a fair question. I don't know many people, and I don't believe that this is a thought process that come across people's minds in a question form. Seems to be a logical one.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the question, should we use logic? Everything's faith, Brian, not logic. You reason, Well, should we use wisdom and understanding? Those are biblical terms.
Yeah.
Does it make the quest more biblical and Christian? What do we know? And if we don't know, how can we believe? Or better, have faith. And I think this is what's troubling when I look out in the world and I see what's going on. And the other part of this, Dad, is we look at our age and we think we are so far advanced over people. And I don't think that we consider in the ancient world how people existed, that they were much different than us. Because, think about running water. Think about plumbing. Think about these types of things. Think about technology, our age. How do people exist today? How did they exist? Do we have any context? Do we put ourselves in a place that says, are we different? So if we're not too much different, is the mindset really that much different?
Good question.
But then I look back through history and just watch a show. The technology to build the pyramids. If you've ever watched documentaries and different things on the structures in Peru, South America, they have no idea how they were able to put these stones together as they did. There's no mortar, but the preciseness of the cuts, unbelievable.
Yep.
They don't know how. We'd have to use lasers to do this and the things and how they're set. And not to mention, they're like, 20 tons, 10 tons. They're these huge rocks, and they were hewn from places long and brought up on mountaintops.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah. Good question, isn't it? Nobody's been able to answer it yet.
No. I think we want to, and I think mankind knows. We just want to ignore it because it doesn't fit with what we want to do. And the existence of a creator, an existence of things that we know we've rebelled against. I truly believe this. I truly believe that overall mankind knows we're a mess. We know what we've done. We know. We're just unwilling still to. We think we're going to figure out a way to overcome it and not have to deal with it. That's the way we are in life most of the time.
Yep.
If there's an issue, we try to ignore it as much as possible.
Yep.
We don't really try. I shouldn't even say, because we try. And if you've heard me talk at all, people, we use this word try, and I hate it. That's why I stopped right there. No, it's not trying. Yeah, we try. That's called the lament of the failed. Nobody works at anything. Because if you truly work at something, you're engaged mentally in your faculties to set something in place that's correct. That's working at something. There's a lot of people try. Man, he sure did try.
Yeah.
And most of that conversation is about the fail. That's why I say it. People say, oh, Brian, that's harsh. No, it isn't. It's just reality. Man, I'm trying. Uh-huh. Problem is you're not working at anything. You have to work at things. You have to put your mind to it. You have to set yourself in. Trying gives no adequate reason for doing something. I believe that very much. just in watching the scope, even in myself. See, because I've tried at times.
I think we all have.
Right?
Yeah, we've all tried. But, you know, it's like during the what they call the Jesus People movement back in the 50s and 60s, 70s. Actually, it started in the 60s. A lot of drug addicts came to the Lord, got delivered, okay? I dealt with a lot of those people. I don't think I ever heard any of them say that trying to stop using drugs ever worked. Because they'd say, well, I tried,
Yeah.
and go right back to it.
Yeah.
But when they became born again, they quit. They stopped. Wasn't any trying now. We just did it. Either do or don't. Now, it's not that we can't work at something and see if it's going to actually work or whatever,
Right. Sure.
but actually technically that's different than
Context.
it's
then-
different than saying trying.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
trying is sometimes just an excuse.
Jesus said, do the works. Do.
Yeah, don't try to do them.
Do the words.
Yep, do them.
Doing, working at something, being. It's not a matter of trying, Pop.
No.
You or do not. There is no try.
There is. Yeah, I mean, it's the famous line in Empire Strikes Back. You know, even Yoda got it. You know, and
Yeah, there is no try. Do or don't.
because what we're talking about, see, and okay, now I know we added a little humor there,
Yeah.
but in the end, why are we taking this so serious? Because, see, this isn't about, oh, good and evil. No, this is about life and death. The power of life and death is in the tongue.
Yep.
Are you working at it or are you trying? Are you being, are you doing, or are you just trying? And I think this is what we've come to in a lot of this. And I think this is what is problematic within the crisis of identity. And these words that we use have set these things in perpetual motion. We've perpetrated this on the public. Christianity has perpetrated this.
Yes, it has.
So what does God mean? Let's just start biblically. And I've said this before, I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time on this. Here's the word God. In the Hebrew, this is throughout the biblical narrative, okay? Strong's, this is the Strong's Exhaustive Concordance, one of the most used concordances there is. Elohim, which everybody's heard, Elohim. This is Strong's reference 430. You can go look this up. Go look it up yourself. It's the plural of H433. Okay? I'm going to move this out of my way. Hang on one second. There we go. And we're going to move that up like that. There we go. And so if you go to the plural, so it goes down. So now this is the second form is rare. This is the second form. Eloah. Probably prolonged emphatically from H410. And this, they say, you can translate a deity, God, God. Uppercase, lowercase. So let's look at 410. And its primitive root, which is a very big thing in the Hebrew language. It's a big thing in the English. It's anything in any dialect, I should say. These, you have a root, a base word, because we have words that come together and mean something. You've had two words that you put together that mean something. Everybody's done this. This is the word El. which a lot of people have heard. El Shaddai, we have this. That. Shortened from H352, meaning strength. As an adjective describing mighty, especially the Almighty. And we have in parentheses, and these are the things we insert in this, but used also of any deity. All right. We go back to the ancient pictographical language, and we use Jeff Benner's Ancient Hebrew Lexicon of the Bible. Anciently, this word means yoke. You yoke something together. Because concretely, an ox represented strength. And you see in the ancient world, all the deities, what we call deities, what were they depicted as usually? A bull, an ox head, a bull's head, right? Or a ram.
Right.
But most of the time, it was an ox, a bull's head, something of that form, right?
Yep.
Throughout it, go look at Molech, go look at Baal, go look at all of them.
Yep.
This isn't far off. Why? Because this represents strength. You have the picture of a shepherd's staff and the picture of an ox head. Combine these means strong authority. Well, authority. What is authority? That's authorship. In other words, this is where we gain our meaning of existence. This is the author of life. Mm-hmm. So now we have this understanding. This is our strength. Man, and throughout the scripture, Jehovah says, you have no strength but what comes from me. So where do we derive our strength? And this is what this word means. Now, in the Greek, unfortunately, we've gone to the abstract and we end up with the word theos. And honestly, it's pretty abstract. So its meaning is basically the same as English. Deity is what we do. But you go back and you look at the etymology of the word or the Greek, and you look into the Greek. There's different forms of this word just to represent. But why did they call him Zeus? Why not just, it's the gods, but they call him Zeus. They say they used names. There was names representing each of these individual beings.
Yep.
Why? And there was an overarching pantheon of what they call theos or theon. So today we're looking at this word in English. And I'm just going to the online etymology dictionary of the word God. Old English, God, supreme being, deity, the Christian God, image of a God, godlike person from Proto-Germanic, Guthun, source also of Old Saxon, Old Frisian, Dutch, God, Old High German, Gott, German Gott, Old Norse, Goa, Gothic, Gulp, which is of uncertain origin, perhaps from pi, gut, that which is invoked. That is curious. Because if you all remember, what? Oh my gosh, I have no idea what is happening with my computer at this point. I just closed all of that stuff and I just was trying to get to somewhere else. Oh, mercy. Struggle is real. Sorry, folks, for just a moment of delay. Okay, see if we can do this again. Last week, if you remember, we talked about the word imprecation as it pertains to what was in the book of Enoch. Imprecation, a curse, cursing, an invoking of evil. Well, here we have in this same thought process of the word God, that which is invoked. To call, Sanskrit huta, invoked. To call, invoke. The notion could be divine entity summoned to a sacrifice. But some trace it to pi, gu, to poured. From the root gue, to pour a libation. Source of Greek, I believe it would be pronounced kaion, or not sure, to pour. Also in the phrase kute, Gaia, poured earth, referring to a burial mound. See found. Given the Greek facts, the Germanic form may have referred in the first instance to the spirit immanent in a burial mound. See also Zeus. In either case, not related to the word good, which is what most people think. It's not. Popular etymology has long derived God from good, but a comparison of the forms shows this to be an error. Moreover, the notion of goodness is not conspicuous in the heathen conception of deity, which is true. And in good itself, the ethical sense is completely or comparatively late. Century Dictionary, 1897. So originally a neuter noun in Germanic, the gender shifted to masculine after the coming of Christianity. Old English God probably was closer in sense to the Latin numen. A better word to translate deus might have been Proto-Germanic ansus, but this was used only of the highest deities in Germanic religion, and not of foreign gods. And it was never used of the Christian God. It survives in English mainly in the personal names beginning in Os, like Oswald.
Osgood.
Mm-hmm. Norse, right? Here's a quote from Voltaire. I want my lawyer, my tailor, my servants, even my wife to believe in God, because it means that I shall be cheated and robbed and cuckolded less often. If God did not exist, it would be necessary to invent him. That's the word there. So let's take it one step further. Here's the word deity. Divine nature, godhood, attributes of God. Late 14th century, a God, the supreme being of a self-existing spirit. And this means what? Old French deit, from late Latin deitatum, nominative, deitas, divine nature, coined by Augustine, from Latin deus, from pi, deos, from root, deu, to shine, in derivatives, sky, heaven, God, a being to whom divine or godlike nature is attributed. That's the word deity. Herein is the word divine. Late 14th century, this is the 14th century, this is the 1300s. This is when this became popular. Pertaining to, of the nature of, or proceeding from God, or a God, addressed to God. So this word only started to be part of the English narrative in this fashion in the 1300s, folks. From Old French, Devon, from Latin, divinus of a god from divus of or belonging to God inspired prophetic related to deus, God, deity. And we still, what does it mean? Let's take a look. You know, this is interesting. You just type the word divine in a search in your biblical search here on eSword, and it brings up 11 verses found, 11 matches of the word divine. This is the Old Testament. It's 11 times in the entire Bible. If this was the way we described Jehovah, don't you think the meaning of this, somehow, some way, this should be more part of the biblical narrative? Where's the word deity in the biblical narrative? We do see the word God, because the English translating these things from the word Elohim and Theos, these are the two words, but that's Hebrew and Greek. What does the word God mean? We showed you. Means more. It has nothing by invoking. So who were they invoking?
Yeah. Good question.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what the meaning of the word is, Dan.
Yeah. It's a generalized term.
And it actually has more of an impact to invoking
Right.
that.
And when you say God, okay, which one? What one? What do you mean? What are you talking about? It's just too general a term. And then, as you said, deity or divine, in Scripture, divine is used many times in a different way. I don't know if you was going to go there or not, but I'll let you go ahead and do it. But
No, that's fine. Hey, hold the thought.
yeah,
Here, let me show. This is what is interesting to me. The word divine is popped up in various different forms. Mm-hmm. And the first one here, Joseph is asking his brothers, why are they coming to do this dirty work here?
yeah,
It's Genesis 44:15. And he said, and Judah and his brethren came to Joseph's house, for he was yet there, and they fell before him on the ground. And Joseph said unto them, what deed is this that you have done? And this is the King James. Wote ye not? See, we don't talk like that. Wote, W-O-T. What the heck is wote?
right.
Are you woting? Wote ye not that such a man as I can certainly divine? There's the word divine.
Yeah,
Well, this is interesting because this is the word nakash. Nakash we have looked at on numerous occasions. This is the same word used in the garden
yeah,
for the serpent.
right.
Wait, what? Wote ye not that such a man as I can certainly divine? And Judah said, what shall we say unto my Lord? What shall we speak? Or how shall we clear ourselves? God hath found out the iniquity of thy servants. Behold, we are my Lord's servants, both we and he also with whom the cup is found. What's he talking about? How do you divine something? What is divination? And the word divination or divining this has to do with properly to hiss, that is whisper, a magic spell, generally to prognosticate. And this is not a good thing throughout the scriptures, folks.
No,
Then you have, that's the first one there. Then it changes its sense the rest of the way through. Here in 1 Samuel, it's a primitive root properly to distribute, that is determined by a lot or magical scroll, by implication to divine. Prudent, soothsayer, This is how you can you can translate this into this word, this Hebrew word kasam, into English using divine, prudent, soothsayer.
Yeah.
And this is pretty much the way it works all the way down through here.
Yes, it is.
1 Samuel 28:8. Proverbs 16:10, a divine sentence. It's the same word, a soothsayer. Ezekiel, same word, divine lies, to distribute. That is determined by a lot or magical scroll. Ezekiel 13:23, divine, same word, kasam. Ezekiel 21:29, same word, kasam. Micah 3:6, same word, to distribute, determined by a magical scroll. Same thing in Micah 3:11. Then you go down to Hebrews 9:1. Paul uses this word divine service. Really, this word is just administration of God. So we've then turned this word there, 2 Peter 1:3, according to his divine power. The word divine there is a form of the word theos. It's theos, godlike. Well, what is it to be godlike? What is that really? And again, 2 Peter 1:4, the next, we translate this word theos, divine, rather than godlike. So, or divine, and you can also translate this word Godhead. That's what they say. Mm-hmm. I am fascinated by these things, Dad, and what we get into with this. And when you start using the words divine, deity, God, how it leaves us with what understanding. And we end up trying to understand, and then we're told we can't understand God. And then we're using these words that really have no definition.
No, not really. I mean, what do you mean? Guy goes out looking for water. He's got this stick, this forked stick. Mm-hmm. It's called a divining rod. Okay. Well, what's that? When we use the word divine, what do we understand?
Right.
You know, well, today people say, well, that's Jehovah, that's God. Well, not according to this. Divining was forbidden in Israel. You couldn't go to those kind of people. It was against the Lord. It was a death penalty in many cases. So here in English, we've changed the meaning of these words and brought them around and placed them on Jehovah and call him divine or deity. Mm-hmm. No, he's Jehovah. You say, well, yeah, but how do you describe him? You describe him as Jehovah, all power, all strength. That's who he is. He's all strength. That's what the Hebrews said. El, all strength. The God that is. I am.
And that's the best way to do that when you see it. When it starts being put in that form, especially throughout the later parts of the biblical narrative, right, after the Exodus.
Right.
The Tetragrammaton is before the Elohim.
Yes.
And you have, I exist, your strength. That's a literal translation, yep, of those two Hebrew words.
Yep.
One being, if you read it in a translation, a true Hebrew translation, every time that the Tetragrammaton is used, they used to just say Adonai. Now they use the word Hashem, which simply is translated the name.
Right.
It's the name. The Tetragrammaton is the name your strength. What does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it describes who he is. And I think that's all we need to know about him in that sense. Can we know his attributes, his will, what he wants from man? Sure. But he just is. I am, Moses said, Lord, who shall I tell them sent me? And Jehovah answered him, tell him I am sent you, because I am that I am. Well, okay. I'm going to go to Pharaoh and tell him I am sent me.
No, it wasn't about Pharaoh. It was about the
Well,
Israelites. That's what he asked. Moses said, when the Israelites ask, who sent me, who shall I tell them? It wasn't about Pharaoh. It was about the Israelites. That's what he asked about in that scripture. Absolutely.
But anyway, he said, I am. Mm-hmm. Well, okay. I am. Mm-hmm. Well, are they going to understand that? Tell them I am. I am that I am. I sent you. So Jehovah he came right to the point, and he does in most things. He's just right to the point. He doesn't go around the bush about stuff. He's not out here trying to explain all this other stuff or be different, all that. No, just who he is. I am your strength. I am your provider. I am all that you need. I am the giver of life. I am life, personified. So we use these other terms, and we don't really know what we're talking about when we use them, in my opinion.
Well, I want to add one more to this, because I think, we see when they came out of Israel, we understand that they weren't mentally prepared to accept Jehovah on the mountain, the one who exists in who he is. And it's well documented. Stop talking to us, tell Moses.
Right.
And this became that. So everything became El Shaddai, El this, El, El.
Right.
Rather than, however you pronounce it, Jehovah, Yahweh, whatever the case, or the name. Because what's in a name? Authority, character, the authorship of things. This is what we've missed, and we continue to do this. In Christianity, we use the words God, deity, divine. In the Hebrew, they used El and Shaddai, and they added those things to it. And we've never gotten to the point of things. And this is what's problematic, and this is the difference with Jesus. This is the beauty of these things. When Jesus came, he said, I've come to show you plainly of the Father. Not El, not Shaddai, not all these things, not the Torah, I've come to fulfill all these things that we've needed to understand about our existence, why we exist. I want to show you who you are as a being. The fullness of the Godhead bodily. We love to say that, but we have no clue what it means because we don't want to. We talk about, Dad and Pam will be talking about this again tomorrow in the Trinity of Man. Dad did this study many years ago, and he's going back through these things because what is it to be complete, to be whole, to say I am, to say I exist? How can you claim existence when all you are and all you've ever thought about has no meaning, no purpose? You don't even understand what it means to exist. We die, we go to the ground. Why does this decay? Jehovah created us in his image and likeness. The one who exists, the one who is existence said, I want to give my existence to them. And I'm going to set them in motion in my image and likeness. Physically first, creates the physical form out of the dust of the earth. Then breathes into him the breath of life, and man became a living nephesh, creature, soul, mind, character, and body. All three of these things working as they should be, in wholeness and completeness, in that which Jehovah set as good, functional. This is in, and when we say breathe, we all sit and go like this, like it's almost mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. He breathed into his nostrils. Okay, that's fine. And I'm sure there was a wind, there was the process of the physical animation and all those things. But we understand what it is to breathe on somebody. I'm breathing on you right now. Because without breath, we cannot talk. Without the breath in our lungs, we have no speech. Without our mind, we have no thought. We have no character. And the understanding of authorship, of authority as it showed there, how do we live? How do we exist? That's the pursuit right now within the world, and it's always been that. If we don't put ourselves in that place that says, this is what we're supposed to look like, the strength is after the existence. Exist as strength. I've provided all of these things for life, and existence. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to pursue that which is wholeness and completeness? Shalom. That's the word shalom, to be complete, to be whole. We say peace. Well, what does peace mean? We're not sitting around in a circle strumming a guitar singing Kumbaya. That's not peace. Because you don't know how many people sitting in that circle agree with you or disagree with you.
True.
And this is what's problematic with mankind. We have this government going and gouging and doing and whatnot, and you got this side screaming and hollering, you got this side screaming and hollering, everybody's screaming at each other. Oh, it's good. No, this is evil. It's good. It's evil. It's good. It's evil. I think it's a comedy. That's what I think. Because nobody wants to recognize the truth. It's like we're sitting at the base of the mountain again, looking up at the power of Jehovah and saying, nah, stop talking to us. We got this. We're fine.
Yep.
You tell Donald Trump what we'll do, and we'll do it. We don't understand our Father. And we've created these narratives. We've utilized these words to create what we want it to be in order to set our own ideas of things in motion. And that's what I believe about this. Why do we worship God? And what is it to worship? And we just showed you right here. Oh, I didn't read this. Middle English, worship. This is the etymology of the word. Condition of being worthy. Worthship. Well, what are you worth. And where is value, where is worth found? And it's only found in the wholeness and completeness and the repentance from this world, which is your reasonable
service. Yeah, worship isn't praise. We get it all messed up. We say we're going to church and worship. No, you're going to live and worship. Live your life in the way that Jehovah meant for us to live it. That's your reasonable worship, your service. That's what the word is. Worship.
It's your reasonable worth.
Yeah, it's your worth to the Lord. Yeah. Otherwise, we don't have any.
Right?
Right. So if you want to lift your hands in praise, that's one thing. That's okay.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. But worship is not praise in that sense. Worship is, are you worth anything to the Lord? What is your worthiness to be in the kingdom? Mm-hmm. Because if you're not worthy of it, you ain't going. Right. And the Lord, we all sat around and said, well, I'm just not worthy. I'm not worthy. You better get worthy. You better get that way because, before I knew the Lord, maybe I was worthless. But now I'm not. See, we don't even think any change is taking place. We don't think we're sons. We don't think nothing. I'm a sinner saved by grace. I'm just this poor slob out here.
I'm worthless.
Yeah.
We have created that.
We created it.
Especially the Protestant community.
Yes. Now, should we think of ourselves more highly? No.
No.
But Paul said, don't think of yourself more highly than you should think. But I can think as high as I should. Not more highly. I can't put myself with Jehovah, no. Or above other people. But I can think of who I am in the Lord. And if I'm not complete, if I'm not whole in Him, if I'm not perfect in my ways before the Lord, then I got a problem.
Well, and this is what's troubling, and this is why we have such a hard time with this. And I'm going to say this, and people, you can turn it off. Do whatever you think you need to do. But Jesus Paul wrote this. Did not think it robbery to be equal with Jehovah. Well, but Brian, he was God. No, he was. See, and here's this terminology. He was God. Wait, no. What does that mean? Is Jehovah God, or is he just a being? And we've created this. Jehovah is physical, mental, and has personality, a character, his personage, his whole being. Whether you want to accept that or not, he's a physical being. Jesus didn't think it robbery to be equal, and I don't believe Jesus was the second Adam. And I don't think the first Adam thought it was robbery to be equal with his Father in existence. That doesn't mean we are the author of existence. And this is how we should think with sober judgment. We're not the author of our existence, and our strength relies in the fact that we are in his image and likeness. That's our strength.
Yep.
That's our L. See, I knew it. He's a nut job. He thinks we are all gods. Jesus said it. You talked about this, I think, a couple of Sundays ago, right? You're all gods. This is what Jesus said.
Yeah.
He's using, and that's the word theos. What was he talking about? So do we really understand it in the Hebraic form that he brought it? Because all we see it is in the Greek at this point.
Yeah.
So what did he call them? What did he say to people there? What was he using in the Aramaic or the Hebrew? Because he was speaking to Hebrews, not to Greeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just fascinating to me.
Well, he asked him. He said, "Why do you want to kill me? Because of the good work? No, because you said you're the Son of God.
Yeah.
That's why we're going to stone you. You said you were the Son of God." And Jesus answered him and says, "Well, Your scripture says you're God's. He nailed them
Wasn't
right
that
there.
Psalms 82?
It's
I think it was
Psalms, yeah,
something like
David.
that.
And said, "You're God's." I don't exactly remember the reference, but it's in the Psalms, yes. And they just stood there dumbfounded, their mouths open. Well, what did Jesus mean? he was.
Yes, there it is. Psalms 82. I remembered.
Yeah.
This is the psalm. Can I read
Yeah,
it?
Sure, read it.
This is in the KJV. God stands in the congregation of the mighty. In the congregation of the mighty? I'm going to give you even a little more reference here. The word mighty. Oh, shocker. That's El. That's the word El. We translate God. So here we translate it mighty. Why? Congregation of the God. He judgeth among the gods, or the Elohim, or the all strength. He's deciding. That's a mitzvah right there. Or shafat, to judge, to pronounce sentence. He pronounces sentence among the gods. What's he talking about, right? How long will you judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy. Deliver the poor and needy. Rid them out of the land of the wicked. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. They're walking the wrong paths. I have said, you gods. The R there is added for our benefit. And the word here that yea is added. I have said, it just stated there, Elohim. I have said Elohim, and all of you are children of the Most High. I have said all strength, and all of you, children of the Most High, but you shall die like men. He's talking to the Israelites. So this is exactly what Jesus is referencing here, and David is writing about this. You are all strength. You've been given my strength. I have set you in motion this way. This is what this was about, coming down at the mountain. All these things. We don't know who we are. We are lost.
And most of us refuse to even want to know. Because, we can't be lifted up, in our own self. No, I'm not lifted up in my own self. I just know who I am.
I just know what I was created to
Yeah.
be.
Here's something that I've often thought about. My last name is French because that was the name of my father, and it was given to me.
Right.
Are we not to carry the name of our Father if we're His sons and daughters? Is there a family name?
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong with that? I'm not him, no, but I'm his son.
Amen.
I'm his son.
And, yep.
That's what Jesus said. I'm his son. And I've come to show you him, the Father, plainly.
Yes.
I'm going to show you who he is. And he did. I don't get it. We're afraid to even claim his name. We're afraid to, and the Lord, one of the commandments, you will not take the name of your Lord in vain. What's that mean? Well, you can't cuss. You can't say God so-and-so and this, don't cuss. No. You cannot take his name in vain. You can't take his name unless you're in his family. You can't take my name in vain.
Exactly.
Unless I give it to you or unless you're born from me. That's what it means.
Because vanity in that instance means emptiness.
Yes.
So you're taking my name and making it worthless.
Right. No effect because you're not in my family.
Exactly. And that goes back to worship or worthship.
Yeah.
So in order to be part of the family, you have to have worth
Absolutely.
and own the name.
If it's given you, then that's the only way you can have it. If it's given.
That's it, Pop.
Yeah.
These are things that, I know this is not normal speak
No.
for Christianity, but this is why I am the way I am about what I say, and anybody who wants to talk about it, I'm happy to discuss, because this is what Christianity has created. We've created a vanity.
Yeah.
We're taking the Lord's name in vain. Christianity has taken it in vain and used it for their own purpose. And I think that's a very sad thing.
Any comments, Drew?
Nope.
Okay.
Well, we hope you enjoyed it, folks. Think on it.
Yep.
Let us know what you think. We're glad you joined with us. Oh, I wasn't paying attention at the time. That's all right. Thanks for tuning in. Tomorrow, Dad will be back with Pam talking about,
Trinity of Man.
yes, and talking about some of these things this way,
Yeah.
what that means.
Yeah.
And I think it's important. So make sure you tune in tomorrow, 9 a.m., right here on the Faith Loop. And until then, everybody have a great day in the Lord. Always remember to give love
And give life.
and give Jesus.